我们要讲一篇庄子的故事。话说混沌。
我前几天做了一个梦，有你的。
不知道为什么会变这样多。
Remedios!
Ba't may pa kanyan? Eh kung naaraw-rot yung mangyayari kang yato.
Isip ko, maluming tatang nga, ika, atin ka pang migit keng mapakit mo.
Luidja! Ihok! Balakak! Luidja! Luidja!
Gimana kalau kita sebutkan nama anjing itu sama-sama di hitungan ketiga? Oke. 1, 2, 3.
El nombre de Nildo Bravo el día que naciste. Tú eres Julie y vas a ser el mejor bailarín del mundo.
James, if you could take one thing from this life to the next.
It'll be my mum.
This world you don't catch me in a nutty.
没错，就是沙巴。
Marung tak na ani hana ada yang ada tasan tam kati
alam tak na ni dahun kaya alam masang alam tak na.
Then after that?
After that, Pakistan we left the school and we come here, Madras.
Madras. You say Madurai?
หน่วย10 100 พันหมื่นเนี่ยเท่าไหร่แสนหมื่นแสนบาทแทงดำยิงมีโทษปรับ 5,000 บาท
Kamu kenal lah tahan semua tekanan tuh.
Kau buat yang terbaik.
Vinícius, encontro com o poeta que rompeu todas as regras e viveu sem limites.
I told you so many times already, right? Common sense.
Mom. Have you always wanted to be a mom?
Try lagi,
Okay. So, position aku okay?
Okay. Kiri sikit. Okay, ready?
Okay, ready.
Camera rolling. Action.
I love this one because it's a family of morning board.
Until this happened. Until this documentary happened.
Ayaw memang. Ini abang kat depan sini. Abang, apa yang show jom.
Allah, terlibat juga.
Apa yang nampak bawah?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first of three very, very exciting KKIFF webinars. I'm really happy to be part of this wonderful program this year, and all thanks to the directors of the KKIFF who has put together this fantastic program. To begin with today, we're going to be talking about a really important topic, which is the role of film in preserving memories and culture. So, you know my name, it's in the bottom. I'm Nicholas, and I'm basically a psychiatrist. I'm a lecturer, and also I'm a bit of a film enthusiast. As Jude will tell you, I only watch films with subtitles on them, and today's films pretty much all fit that general category of film. But I would like to believe that today's films all showcase a very important thing. They I've always believed that films give voice to the things that we cannot see, that we cannot hear, and the things that lay beyond what is visible to our normal sight in our daily lives. And I've watched quite a few of the films tonight, and I would definitely say that the films tonight all illustrate lives that are so different from what we're used to experiencing that they really do transport us to a different place, which is obviously ever so important thanks to the events of the last 2 years when we've all been stuck at home. Film has been literally one of the few ways we can be transported to a different place and develop some social awareness while we're at it. So I think without further ado, I'd like to bring on our panelists for today. So in no particular order, we've got Genevieve, Pentium, Precha, and Precha's translator Ladwan, and also Vishal. So hi everyone, thanks for making time today to speak about your films. And we'll hopefully be speaking not just about your films, but some of the motivations, some of the inspirations. Okay, hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Okay. So right, I'm going to get you all to do a short introduction of yourself and your films because I think some of us are still having trouble linking together the person on the screen and the wonderful film. Hello, Ladwan. So Ladwan is helping Precha to translate. So we'll see how it goes, but it's really good that we've got both of you on today. I'm going to get you to do a short intro of yourself and your film. Maybe I'll start with Vishal. Is that okay?
Yep, sure. First of all, thanks very much for including our film in this festival for this year, and also for inviting us to speak in this webinar. Our film is titled Partitions, and I'm the director of the film. I'm Vishal Daranamo. I'm from Singapore. And yeah, so the film is titled Partitions. Just very briefly, without saying too much, it's about migration of women, Sindhi women from present-day Pakistan after the partition of India in 1947 to Singapore. It touches on her journey from Sindh in Pakistan, and also fragmented memories of how that came about. And the last thing I would say is it's a short film and it takes an observational approach to the content.
Okay, thanks, Vishal. I love how you said we and our film just now because that really showed that there was a team behind it and you were just the director. So that's really nice of you. And now I'm going to get Genevieve to introduce yourself, say a little bit about yourself. And oh, Genevieve, I think you're muted, or either you're muted or I'm muted. Well, we can definitely lip read you, so I think you are muted because everyone else is looking slightly puzzled. Yeah, we definitely can't hear you. Maybe we'll just get just try and like move your remove your speakers or your earphones or something. Sometimes it helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that's good.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. I start from beginning. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Genevieve. So basically, our documentary called Tekna, which is an oral tradition that is invaluable in the Kayan community in Borneo. So before there was television, radio, the elders will gather around and sing Tekna together. That is how they entertain among themselves. So due to its intricate form and singing style, Tekna is an unpopular form of storytelling among the younger Kayan generation. So we make this documentary to tell the younger Kayan generation to preserve this culture, and we hope with this documentary our younger generation can appreciate, learn, and preserve this tradition. Yeah, that's for me.
Okay, thank you, Genevieve. And I think what she hasn't mentioned is that the entire film is in the native language, and there's subtitles at the bottom, so it's fantastic. I mean, I've never heard a sentence in Thailand, let alone an entire film in it. Okay, so
Alright.
we'll move on quickly to Pentium T. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your film?
Hi, my name is Pentium, and actually I'm now in another place in Sarawak. Actually, I'm from Sabah, and then our film is the site of Ponyo Kirin, and then this Kirin actually is a dance. It's just similar like the lion dance. I think most of the people now they know lion dance, but they don't know Kirin dance. And the documentary actually is talking about how this Kirin dance exists in Sabah, except from the China, and then what is the value behind, because it has this culture has a very important role last time, the fundraising for the school, for our education, and there is very less people or either no people know this nowadays. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pentium. I mean, honestly, as a fellow kind of 50% Hakka myself, I don't know very much about the Kirin, so I'm very pleased that you've brought this to a wider audience. Shall we see if we can try and get Precha or Ladawan to get on? Precha, I'm afraid Ladawan has disappeared, so perhaps could you just say a few things?
Okay, I introduce for myself.
Sure.
Hello, my name is Precha Siswan. I am a documentary filmmaker from Thailand. My film is about illegal Myanmar refugee in Thailand. It's a long-term problem. It interests me to find out what are the problems that they are facing. Therefore, I start to do the research and start filming. I have found many problems, but the main problem is human rights, because the children who are the second generation of the illegal Myanmar refugee could not get Thai citizenship. These children live in Thailand with uncertain future. Many of these live along the border of Thailand and Myanmar.
Okay, thank you, Precha. I mean, honestly speaking, your English is fantastic, and that was a thanks for doing that without Ladawan being around. And I see Ladawan's back, so no worries, Ladawan. You'll get to translate later, and if the questions become a little bit more sort of technical. So I think we're seeing so far that there are two groups of films that are being produced here. On one hand, you've got Genevieve and Pentium, who made films about traditions that are still present, but probably slowly dying out, and it's good to have them immortal on film. Yeah. And on the other hand, you've got Vishal and Precha, who are drawing attention to groups of people that we don't really see so much in the public eye, and it's really good to know about these two groups of people, because we don't know their stories, and that's what film is. It's basically storytelling. So that leads us quite nicely into the next question. I want to ask all of you, you're all filmmakers. So why did you choose film as a means of storytelling? Shall we start with, let's try Genevieve first. We'll just get different people to start, so it's not the same person every single time.
Yeah. So I choose film as medium storytelling so that audience easy to understand what am I trying to tell them. Yeah.
That's a fantastic answer, because if you give me an academic paper about Tekna, I would not understand what it was about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Should we have Vishal?
Sure. Yeah. I think accessibility of the medium is one of the main points. But aside from the visuals, there's a lot you can do with other aspects that go into film as well. So I feel even if you're not, even if it's a blank screen, but you've got audio that tells a story there, within that space of a cinema, you feel a different thing compared to listening to this outside. So yeah, those aspects, the different aspects that go into film as a medium and its accessibility. And I would say that accessibility has been getting better, not just in terms of how accessible the content is to viewers, but also how accessible equipment is nowadays for filmmakers. And I think in the past there were many barriers, but now things are getting smaller. Things are getting maybe some people might be upset about this if they like, the old ways of doing of really shooting on film. And there's a lot of credit there, and there's a lot of benefits that come about in doing things those ways. But if you're thinking about who can tell a story now, I think a lot of people can, and it's also because of that democratization, or maybe it becomes more participatory now with technology.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I mean, it's highlighted a really important point that this film festival and all the stories you were going to tell wouldn't exist if not for modern technology, because now we can all watch it on our screens instead of all of us having to go to a cinema in the middle of KK, which would be a very big traffic jam away for some people. We're all in our homes watching wonderful things about Kayan people and the post-partition, and your film tells a really does tell two separate stories at the same time, through the visuals and also the story of the partition. Maybe we get Precha to answer the question. Why do you choose film as the method of storytelling?
Because I love to see movie and a lot of documentary film during my working periods. I look at the film as an art, and that can transform the mood and feeling that is able to support the film subject very well. Moreover, the length of the film in general is 19 minutes. It can draw the audience to stay with the story from the beginning till the end, so the audience can acknowledge the issue and analyze it from their own perspective, which might be different from the filmmaker perspective. That means that the film can do the work of passing an issue to society for further problem discussion.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Precha. Basically, what you're saying is right. I mean, actually, Precha's film is the longest of all the 4 films that are here today. And I can assure you, I stayed from the beginning until the very end. So 90 minutes of Burmese people on boats in Thailand, and I stayed all the way. So, film really does bring you to that world. Pentium, could we just hear a little bit about why choose film as a means of telling this story?
My writing skill and speaking skill. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not muted now. Yeah.
Okay. Because my writing skill and my speaking is not well, then the only way I use is the film. I think is better. But actually, because like what I shooting now, for example, they have a movement, they have the sound, they have the language there. I think more better is we using film to record it, and then the people coming, the future generation, they will be more easier to understand what is it happen. This is why I choose film.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, sometimes the honest answers are really the best. Like, people really do enjoy watching film far more than reading a book about I don't know, Kirin or the Kayan people. Okay, and right. So we're gonna start zooming in on a few of you to talk about your film specifically. So Genevieve, your film features Tekna, which is an oral tradition of the Kayan people in Sarawak. I personally had no idea that this oral tradition existed. And honestly, I never heard Bahasa Kayan being spoken before, let alone for about 20 minutes. So that's fantastic. What was the response when you showed the film to the Kayan community? And how do you think that this film could help in encouraging the younger generation to be interested in Tekna? Oh, sorry, you're muted again, I think.
All right. Is it unmute?
Now it's good, yes.
Okay. So far, I have shown this documentary trailer in my social media, and most of Kayan community, they really like it. And some of them said that this tradition need to be preserved. Yeah, and they said they want to learn about Tekna, especially the young generation. So, in my opinion, because Tekna is rare nowadays, the people who watch this documentary, especially the Kayan people, they will realize that is my tradition, but they don't know about it at all. So, I think this can and lead them to learn Tekna and to get to know about it from the practitioner. And maybe after that, they will practice Tekna by themselves. And this thing maybe eventually will preserve this tradition. Yeah, that's for me.
Okay, I mean, I know these questions are directed towards one person, but I want to make it slightly more interactive. So I think Vishal and Pentium, your films highlight a particular very specific minority culture in your countries as well. So have you shown your films to your people, so to speak, and what do they think? Maybe Pentium first, or Vishal first, yeah. The face went on the screen.
Sure. I don't think the film has been specifically screened for a group of people, but it's been screened at festivals and a good run at it is screened at festivals, but also it started off as a commission project for an art exhibition online, which had a run for about 2 weeks and got quite a bit of views. So because it was available online first, right after production, our family members had sent it to others as well. So I think the feedback that we got was mainly from who we knew rather than the community in general. And I think maybe, the film itself is based on a family member who's passed on. So for our relatives to hear her voice again, and also to see the objects that were in the film that belonged to her was quite special. So I can't really directly answer your question about what was the community's response, because I think our goal also was not to make a film for a particular community, but just to make a film of a certain experience and put it out there for the general public. Because, if you know Singapore, there's a lot of homogenization in terms of language, ethnicity. So to just have something out there in the Sindhi language was one of the goals of the project. So sorry, I can't answer your question directly there.
Oh, no worries, because I'm aware that the three of you at the very least belong to the culture the film was shot in, so you probably have shown it to someone of your own culture. Pentium, I assume you're Hakka. You certainly sound Hakka, and you made it for Hakka community. Have you shown the Hakkas the film yet? What did they say?
Yes, actually, we have just done one screening for the almost 100 people, and then another screening is around 150 to 60 people. And I think my point why I using back the Hakka or anything, any language to fit to the character is one is very important, is because we want to let the community feel they have the interaction with them. They are more easy to catch up what they want to bring out. This is what I done this because I think they have to value back, to look back, and then to understand back out their own culture, they feel proud, like we can record down this thing with their own language. This is what my purpose lah. And then another one is like we doing the documentary, we also preserve something with just not just like knowledge. We also preserve the language also. For example, Hakka, or for example Kayan, for example Iban, for example Kadazan. I think that's coming soon, and so far the dialect of the Chinese will be slowly will be dilute, and then slowly will be lesser people to talk. Then that's why I choose the Hakka as the medium lah. The mostly of the 80% is using Hakka. This is what I hope the community will feel. They are like, oh, this is very interactive with them, and then they feel something like warm with their own. This is a feeling when you hear, not just visual. Yeah, this is my viewpoint.
Okay. This leads me on to another interesting question I wanted to ask about language as well. So I'm gonna direct this question to Vishal and Genevieve. I mean, your films basically are filmed in languages that I assume are not spoken very widely by the young people nowadays. So, I mean, why did you choose to use the Sindhi and Kayan traditional languages instead of clearly using English or Bahasa Malaysia in which are the main languages in your countries? Genevieve, you can go first.
I go first, yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, the reason I use Kayan language rather than English or Bahasa is to share the uniqueness of the Kayan language to the other. So then I would like the practitioner to tell us what Tekna really are in their own language. As I believe, this will allow them to explain Tekna more effectively. And if they speak in English or Bahasa, it may be more difficult for them to explain what Tekna really are. And I'm afraid that if they use uncomfortable language for them, the message they want to convey would be misplaced. Yeah, that's for me.
Okay, so Vishal, maybe next.
Yeah. Well, I think partly because the protagonist spoke Sindhi, and also we had recordings of her before she passed on, and that was in the Sindhi language. And I think generally we wanted to show that there's a lot more to this story of migration to Singapore, where you're told that the Chinese came to Singapore at a certain time, the Indians came to Singapore at a certain time, but then you don't get really and when they came to Singapore, this is what they did. So these are all very very standard narratives which many people don't fit into. So I think language is one of those as well. I think it was an opportunity for us to present a piece of work completely in the Sindhi language, which I'm not so sure has been done before in Singapore. And present that as it is without any apologies. So I think that was one of the goals. Maybe in taking up your offer to be more interactive, Nicholas, I'm also going to ask that both in my film and Genevieve's film, whenever there was singing, there was no subtitles. And you said you would not watch a film without subtitles. So what was your view on not having subtitles for the music that was sung in both films? For me, I wanted to present the language as it is without translating it. And I don't know your impressions of both of our films and that approach that we took.
Genevieve, so what do you think?
Yeah, I think to be honest, that I personally don't understand what they trying to tell, but I know how the synopsis of what he saying about. Yeah, because I asked my grandma about that. It is hard to explain it with another word. That's why I'm unable to translate that Tekna. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Genevieve. I think Vishal's brought up important issues of migration and things like that, moving to different countries, and I think in a sense, the Sindhis didn't really want to move to Singapore either. It's partition that forced it through. But in Precha's story, Floating Village Asylum, it features the story of a group of people who did not want to move but had to move because they had to flee to Thailand. They not only had to deal with citizenship issues, they had to deal with a major dispute on where they can live because, well, they live on water. So Precha, is it okay if I ask you what is the situation like for the residents from the time when you made the film?
Okay. Look at the floating village as it is the only secure survival path, as they are the refugee who do not live inside the refugee camp. There are so many refugees in Thailand. What attract me and give me the power to continue working on this film for 5 years is because of the lovely of and the innocence of children. The fact the fact is these children don't have Thai citizenship. How can they grow up in the future? They were born in Thailand. They speak Thai and they live in Thai society. Apart from this, the refugees in the area are taken advantage of in many ways, such as being full that they can get Thai citizenship, but have to pay the money first, or even when they want to travel outside the area where they stay, they need to pay the local authority to obtain the permission document. They are also taken advantage of selling the fish and receive an unfair price from the fish buyer. Their feeling of missing their hometown, like Miteng, my protagonist. But he decided to stay back in Thailand because living in Thailand is considered better and more secure when compared to living in Myanmar.
Okay, thanks, Preacher. Actually, I've actually been to Myanmar before, and this is a story about people in Myanmar that I never knew about. I just want to ask you a very obvious question that may be obvious to people. Do the children there think that they are Thai, or do they think that they are Burmese? Because they live in Thailand, they speak Thai. I think they speak Thai, and they write in Thai.
They speak Thai because they study in Thai school. Is that right? They can study in Thai school.
So I mean,
they speak Thai.
Do they want to go back to Burma?
Again?
Do you think they want to go back to Burma, to Myanmar?
I think the student is not think to go back to Myanmar. They want to live in Thailand.
Okay, so I mean, then it becomes very interesting, because then it kind of then converges towards Vishal's story as well, because the Sydneys all moved to Singapore, and eventually, Vishal, I mean, I just want to ask you, I mean, how long did it take for the people who moved from the homeland of the Sindhis to become Singaporean? How quickly did people become Singaporean, or do people always still think to themselves, "Ooh, one day we should, one day we might go back"? Because I know nothing about Sindhi culture, so I'm not sure what the sentiments are on the ground.
Well, I can speak only for the experiences of people I know and my family. I think it was a registration of residency first, and then after a few. And mind you, all of this is before 1965, which is Singapore's independence, or Singapore's national separation from Malaysia. But so this predates even 1959, which is Singapore's self-governance. So it's actually a long time ago, and it's not a recent advent. So 1947 was when the separation happened. But I think a lot of people think that partition was a one-off experience where some people moved one side and the other moved the other side. But it actually happened over many, many years. Up until the 1970s, Hindus were moving from Pakistan, and Muslims were also moving to Pakistan from India. So in that sense, I think the experiences are different with many individuals. Some Sindhis come to Singapore maybe in the 90s. So they didn't really move because of partition, but they moved to India first, and then maybe from India to Singapore. And I would say that even the story in our film, if you notice, the trajectory of migration was never straightforward from partition to Singapore. There are things in between, places that they visit in between, different modes of transport that they take in between. So I would say in the 60s, if you are a male individual who's come from South Asia, you would be working for a few years and then you will get citizenship quite easily before self-governance. But if you get married to someone who is in South Asia or the Indian subcontinent at that time, then your wife would come here as a dependent and would get citizenship quite quickly. So it still takes there was still a dominance of men getting citizenship first, and then getting partners from overseas to come over. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm
And I just want to add one more point. Singapore is not the only place that Sindhis ended up in. There are a lot in Kuala Lumpur, there are a lot in Shanghai, there are a lot in Hong Kong, and also the UK and the US. Yeah.
I mean, it always amazes me when people say like they are like Sydney's in Shanghai or Hong Kong, because in my mind, especially Shanghai, it just sounds like a place full of people of Chinese origin to me. So I just want to ask Pentium a little bit about a different group of people who migrated, because the Hakka story is pretty well known. I mean, the word Hakka itself basically means wanderer. I mean, the name of the race itself basically means people who wander around, and there's no real sort of Hakka homeland anywhere in China, to be honest with you. We're all over the place, and I say we because my dad's Hakka. I think it's a really beautiful documentary about the Kirin dancers, about the culture, and of course, always good to give a plug to the sponsors that your film is supported by the Hakka Association in Sabah. They are very concerned about the preservation of Kirin, but the language of the film is 80% in Hakka. I know you've already talked about why we should be preserving the Hakka culture, but do you think that the Hakka culture is dying out? I mean, is your film capturing a culture that's dying, or is your film actually capturing a culture that's really strong, really, really well preserved, and is going to get better? Because we all know what happened in secondary school. We were told not to speak Hakka. We were told speak Mandarin, speak Mandarin, speak Mandarin. 50 cents fine if you speak Hakka. And have things changed from when we went to school in the 90s?
I think I faced the experience same as you, with the we cannot speak any dialect in the school. And then I think in Sabah the Hakka language is still strong, and in some way else is still strong. But I think the most important of our documentary, the Kirin Dance, this documentary, the site of Borneo Kirin Dance, is to show the spirit behind of this Kirin Dance in Sabah, which is mostly of the people they already don't know. It's not the dance, how it dance, and then what is the how to make it, how to make the head or anything. But the most important part is like to let the people know we have a history. We have like they can the Kirin Dance is fundraising for the church, for the Roman Catholic Church, and then mostly of the school, the primary school, we are funded using the Kirin Dance as the fundraising tools to fundraising. And then some even like in the Sandakan of the Sabah, 10 of the school, they're also using Kirin Dance to make the fundraising. In some of the old people, the elder people, they will feel like if without Kirin Dance, there will be no Chinese school or Chinese education in this town. This is what that we want to show to the people, like, because in the I think in the millennium, the 2000, the Kirin Dance is going less people know, and then less people to feel like this culture is ours, and then they feel like not so proud, like they just feel like this thing not nice, it's an ugly culture, and then they feel like they don't want to pray anymore. This is what we want to show the value and the spirit behind, and then let the people to think this thing can be more to appreciate, and then they can more promote this is our culture, our proud. Yeah, this is what we want to show to the others.
Okay, thanks, Pentium. I mean, I can tell you the honest truth is that I've only probably seen the Kirin dance at fundraising events. I've never seen it live before and anything other than that. So wanted to segue over to Genevieve. I mean, what is the Kayan culture like in terms of visibility? Do you see it in the shopping malls of Sarawak? Do you see it in fundraising dinners? Do you see it in, I don't know, church events? Or is it seen as something, put it in the Borneo Culture Museum, put it in the university, don't put it in public? How is it seen, Kayan culture in general? Oh, you're muted, I think.
I think there's not many people know about Kayan traditional. I think this is the first one with the Tekna. Yeah, I hope more documentary come with this Kayan traditional. Basically, Kayan traditional, they used to do it on Christmas time, which is they gather around to entertain themselves. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to move to Precha because actually, unlike the three of your films, I've actually seen quite a bit of Myanmar culture in Myanmar. I want to ask you, Precha.
Yeah.
Is it okay? The people, these kids, these children, Burmese children on the boats in Thailand, what is their culture? Are they culturally Burmese or are they culturally Thai?
I think yes. The culture is food is done on the important day in the culture day. Yeah.
I mean, what do they eat? Do they eat Burmese food or do they eat Thai food?
Burmese food and Thai food. Yeah.
Okay. And in school, I mean, they speak Thai, but do they speak Burmese at home to the family, or do they speak Thai?
Some people, some children can speak Burmese. Yeah. But almost children speak Thai.
Okay. So, Precha, I'm wondering, if you bring these children to Bangkok, will people think that they are Thai?
If I bring children to Bangkok,
yeah,
or what?
Will people say, this is Thai, or will they say, oh no, they are Burmese? We know they are Burmese, or actually they actually speak Thai?
No. They look like Thai people from the border, from the they don't different from Thai children. Yeah.
Because that's a really interesting point, because I think Vishal, Genevieve, and Pentium, you all live on an island. So there's a border of some sort. There's a physical border of some sort. But for people, the Burmese who live in wherever Precha's film is set, they probably look pretty much the same as the Thai people who are like 50 meters across the border. So yeah, I think should be. In a sense, it's interesting to hear that their cultures have changed a little. So I'm just going to move on to some questions, final questions, before we open up to the audience. We've still got about 40 minutes left, so we're hoping that the audience asks questions. So we're waiting for your questions. Did any of you face any challenges during the making of your films? I will start with Pentium because you're laughing.
Challenge, I think for documentary film always have challenge due to the uncertainty, weathers, and there's a lot of I think you cannot expect is 100% you can complete it with what you think, but maybe there is some bonus. And then for myself, our film documentary for the Kirin is when we shoot is 2020, and then it's MCO times. So I think we can using the lockdown lah. So a lot of thing we already we already planned, and then the original storyline, all things will be changed mostly like 70%, because we cannot do it. We cannot shooting in the overseas, and then we cannot do any big crowded environment. Last, and then I still remember one of the thing, one of the issue is like the before our prime minister have to announce the CMCO, and then before one day we say, hey, we just go ahead to the another place, the Sandakan, the east coast of the Sabah, and then we shoot, and then at the night we just drive back 5 hours to our town. This is quite still now is very remember, but luckily our prime minister is no announcer. We just waiting in the news, and then we shooting also the character is looking for the news. If have any things happen, then he will have some changes. Maybe documentary always is like unexpected lah. It's a very unexpected, and then something come out is very make you excited also. Can I say something like this?
It'll be very interesting to make a documentary about all the suffering that people have making documentaries during COVID-19. So maybe Genevieve, do you have any challenges during the making of your film?
Yeah, the only challenge we have is there's not many practitioner Tekna left right now. So it's hard for us to find someone who really can Tekna. Yeah, we need to move from Baram to Miri, and Miri to Bintulu. Yeah, that is our challenge.
Well, that's a really big challenge, because I didn't even know that Tekna existed, to be honest. Let alone find someone.
Yeah.
So Vishal, any challenges you wanted to highlight?
I think for me, challenges would be really how much, when you're making a film about someone close, or actually any participant in documentary filmmaking, how much is too much to say, and how much is probably too little enough to do justice. So getting that balance right was one of our more intangible challenge, if I can put it that way. In terms of other challenges, we use very old recordings, so cleaning out that sound was quite challenging for us. And also we've used photographs and documents which are over 50 or 60 years old in the introduction of the film. So getting those together and making sure that you can present them in a fairly nice way, aside from a slideshow. So that those were the main challenges. But I would say mostly just thinking about in terms of respecting someone's privacy, in terms of saying or including elements that the person would be okay with. I think those were the more internal challenges that I had.
I appreciate all the sensitivities that you mentioned, and I must say your film was very subtle. It was very well done, and it was never too much. It was never too little. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, Precha, were there any challenges when you were making your film?
For me, there are two challenging things. First, the production and the storytelling. I have been trying to record the local officer extorting the money from the refugee when they apply for permission document. Is it quite dangerous of doing so? I have tried many times, but the footage turned out bad, and the footage quality is not unstable. The second challenge is editing, storytelling. At the time when I start shooting, social media is not so popular, and it is not as widely used as nowadays. Right now, the audience can access social media very easily. There is so much content about the refugees. Since the world has been disrupted, I have to work how to make the film content remain unchanged. The audience love to see content that is short, quick, and easy to understand. But my film will slowly carry out, focus on the beautiful and reflect the mood. Finally, I shoot to be myself by telling the story that the way I want to do. I think that is the charm of the film. I think it is an important challenge of this film production. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Preacher. I mean, your film, you can really see the personality of the filmmaker through the film, and your film is a very good example of that. It felt like 90 minutes spent with you, and when I met you, it sounds like the same person, to be honest. So I'm just going to go to the audience. You've got all your little questions. So Casey Lee, if I'm not mistaken, it's my good friend Casey Lee. Hi, long time no see. To all the filmmakers, how do you balance authenticity to your culture and accessibility to your audience with your subject matter? I realize this is completely put you on the spot, so whoever wants to answer can answer, and you don't all have to answer. So just go when you're ready, basically.
Can I answer also?
Of course. Okay.
Authenticity, I think we not just rely on the books, or any documentation that is written down, because we also, one thing is like the walking heritage. There is the old people, the people talking on this. So we will be all compounded, and then we have a look, and then we matching with some of the historical things. For our documentary is like this, because many things like we have to check back, is there any exist. But sometimes when we shooting, for example, some very dying culture, which is really hard to find any documentation, then that is the only thing that we can record down. It depends on the people who talk. So this is what I feel the authenticity is like. The old people say, this is the story, then we believe this is exists. Because especially in the Borneo, we have a lot of story in a different place. We have a bit different. So we cannot say this is true or false. We cannot use one word true or false to completely to like spoil the people who tell the story behind. However, he heard is like he add on, he put in the sugar and oil, but that is the real story that when they're moving from the Ulu Sungai until the Hilir Sungai, the story will be totally different. This is what the hard part, but this is also an authentic part that we will be facing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Pentium. I mean, I do realize that if when you're filming sort of things that are rarely filmed, you as the filmmaker get to tell the story, and you get to set what is the truth for anything. So it's really good that you're realizing that while you're holding the camera. Any of the rest of you want to talk about authenticity and accessibility? Okay, shall we? Yeah, let's move on to the next question then. Another question from Casey Lee, who I assume it's the same Casey Lee. He's a film critic, so that's where his questions are coming from. How do you convince your subjects on the importance to tell their stories on camera? So let's have someone else answer this time. But again, no pressure. None. This is on the spot already.
Well, perhaps I can add something here. If you've watched the film, you know that none of our subjects appear on the film. I mean, you see their hands, you see old photographs, and you see them in the course of doing certain work like cooking. So I think that's one approach we took, but it's not that the participants did not want their face shown on camera, but it's also a thing we could do together as a family. So there are family members involved in in making this. And maybe because of the nature of this film, I could do that and then have an end product to show where there wasn't a time pressure to really complete something. So I think there are various approaches people can take, and this was the one that we took for Partitions.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to follow up on that a little bit. Culturally, would there be like I know virtually nothing about Sydney culture, so I mean, would there be some kind of taboo or some kind of idea where we shouldn't be showing ourselves on camera or on film or something like that, or is it just a sort
No.
of
No. There's nothing very different about how Sindhis are to other people in our community. It's just a decision that we took for the film.
Okay. Well,
but I mean, you could maybe, if you want to talk about this film particularly, you could bring up maybe other issues of maybe in other communities, such as filming deities, for example, or gods, and the pictures of that. So I guess different communities would have different ideas on this. So if that's an aspect you may want to pick out, then that's one I would say could apply to other films.
So good advice to aspiring filmmakers out there, because I'm assuming everyone watching this will walk away and say at 9:30, I want to be a filmmaker too, like these guys. So let's get the next question from Jasmine Raj, so you can see how different the sort of film critic questions are from the film festival organizer. What are your next plans after this? And will you be making part 2 of your films, or do you have new film projects in store? I think anyone can answer this. Come, Genevieve, say something about your next project.
Yeah, I wish to make a new project about Kayan tradition also, which called Hiban Kayo, which is about dance about Kayan people, which is they go hunting head in long time ago. Yeah, but now they do this dance just for fun and entertain.
Okay, so a headhunting documentary. Yeah, we're from Sabah. You know, it's the KK International Film Festival for a reason, and we're big on headhunting here. Well, 50 years ago, but yeah, we're big. So we look forward to seeing yours in the 14 KKFF. Anyone else want to talk about your new plans? Because what better advertising than the webinar at the film festival? Pentium, are you speaking? Because you're kind of moving, but I'm not sure if you're speaking.
Actually, we have few projects on hand, but it's totally different with the culture and anything. This is a mystery regarding some of the Borneo like forests and some of the mountain Mount Kinabalu. So this is our coming project. The detail haven't can confirm yet. So this is what I want to talk. Yeah.
Well, I think if you want to confirm the details, hang around for the 14, 15, or 16 KKIFF. Hopefully, COVID-23 won't do something about this film. Okay, so let's move on to the next question from Ivanka. I think this question is directed towards only one of you, unfortunately, but if the rest of you know something about Hakka culture, please feel free. Where can we look for more reliable sources about the Hakka culture? Pentium, it's just you, basically.
Hi. Actually, the Hakka culture the information we have few books that is especially writing how we migrate from the northern of the China, the northern of the China until the south of the China. We have moved for the 6th time, and then we move around until, like, for example, Sabah, we have a lot of Hakka. In the Sarawak, we also have a lot of Hakka, but it's a different of the dialect. And then in Semenanjung also we have the Hakka. The most important part is like we really have to read the books first, because I know there's one of the professor, they have writing a lot of this information. There's a professor, the name I think we have to further to look for. I forgot the book, and then
Danny
and
Wong,
we
I think.
also, yeah, Professor Danny Wong. Yeah,
Yeah.
he also got go for the KKFF screening that day, and then I think this is one of the reference. For example, in the Taiwan, we also have the another few more information. So what depends on what kind of information you want, because Hakka is got a lot. For example, we have the Hopo, we have the Xing'an, we have the they already a lot lah with the Huizhou. All they have a different. We go back to the association to ask them, are they have any recommendation people or recommendation documentation for us to refer first? Then we just go further. I think this is the best. I think more directly can get the sharp answer lah. This is what I can say. And then for the killing, I think it's a bit different because this is mostly no record. We just found few person is really in deep on the recording, try to get all the information, but it's not complete. Then from there we start our journey. So it's quite different of the perspective. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Pentium. So just gonna move on quickly to the next question from Jasmine again. Where can we watch your films after KKIFF ends, and will you be screening your films anywhere else? Maybe Preacher, I mean, where can we watch your film after this?
Now my film screening in Japan on website of Asian documentary. I can remember, yeah. And I think the film is light of film for 2 years, and after this maybe we can show in the little event on Thailand. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll see more of your films. I mean, yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to move on to some questions from Crayon Closet Films. Okay. As a filmmaker, do you choose your target audience first, and you make a film or documentary, or is it the other way around? So the other way around, I imagine, is you make the film and then like you figure out who your target audience is while you're doing that.
Yeah, can I answer it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for me, yes, I do have some target first before make the film.
Okay. Anyone else want to like you do it the other way around by any chance? I don't know. I don't make films.
For myself, depends on the topic, because if the topic is very niche topic, then I will choose the audience. But if the commercial more public one, the niche one, we didn't choose any of the audience. But if the commercial one, then we have to target, because some of the language and some of the wording, some of the deep. For example, if the audience is quite young generation, I think they cannot digest those like slow. They want a very fast movement. They want to see it. So wow. Then this one is a more commercial one for my viewpoint. Then if the audience is more elder, then we will be choosing some more slow and more informative. This is one quite important, because when we doing the documentary or doing a film, we hope that more people can understand, can watch your film more detailed and more easy to capture what you want, bring the message. Because all of the filmmaker, I think here, they will have a message want to deliver to the audience, and I will do like this for my own opinion. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, just out of curiosity, Pentium, was your film targeted to? Let me not use words that are prejudicial. Targeted towards people who like slow things or people who like faster things?
The side of Borneo Guinea is more in a I think it's a niche market lah. It's not a very publicly like it because, for example, I myself just as an example, like I think most of the Europe or any person that not from the China background or Chinese background, you can understand the Hakka culture very well. It's very hard to understand all from zero to 100%. So that one I leave it out, and then I make it more detailed on the culture. How to say this not so slow, but in the medium. very hard to to describe this part. Yeah.
No, the only way for me to find out is to watch your film because it wasn't on the online system. It's in the cinema, so I will have to find a way to watch it. Apparently, we've got class translation from the translator. So the translator has said that we choose the protagonist of the story first before you make the film or the documentary. So there you go. The translation does work, albeit a little bit lag. Okay, well, next question from Crayon Closet Films, which is essentially the last question from the audience. How much of a difference did you imagine in the original film and documentary, and how did it end? So I just imagined that, like, how was it different, the original thing you imagined and whatever happened in the end?
Maybe I can speak about partitions here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we envisioned it to be, in terms of length, 7 to 8 minutes. But then, before shooting, the idea came up of tying the whole documentary with the preparation of a particular dish, and that thread, that idea was never there before. So that made the film a bit longer. It also gave us a bit of time to intersperse different aspects of the oral histories that we had recorded. So in terms of length, that was one change. The other was having something that we really just thought of the night before the shoot, that, okay, this is a good idea, let's do it. So I would say, if the question is how much of a difference, I don't know how to quantify, but really very different.
Just wondering, Vishal, how much footage did you have? Like, how many hours of footage did you have, as opposed to what really happened?
Wow, I don't really have those numbers now, but I know that there were days where I would just be filming the trees outside. I think you see a lot of trees and you see a lot of rain outside, just to wait to get to a certain moment where there are 2 or 3 birds that flew by, and then that's the 3 seconds that I use. But actually, I'm filming for maybe about 30 to 45 minutes. Filming at home is also tricky with lighting. So initially, we had the preparation of a certain part of the dish, which we had to redo, and that was another afternoon. And you also have to take into account, and I'm speaking for independent films here, I'm not talking about those that have a lot of funding being made outside, where you can actually choose your studios and stuff like that. You also have to wait for the environment to be right. So I don't have an exact number, but many days to get that shot part. Yeah.
Okay, that's really humbling and inspiring for the rest of us out there who all want to walk out of this becoming a filmmaker. Certainly not me. I don't have that patience, 30-minute patience. So I want to just move it towards the final question, which I think you can imagine would be, what suggestions do you have for other filmmakers out there? Because I'm sure there's loads of you out there that hope to create documentary films about your people, your stories, the people on the ground, the people that you know, the culture that you think is going to disappear. What suggestions do the 4 of you have for those filmmakers out there, budding filmmakers? Start with maybe Genevieve first.
Yeah, for me, the suggestion would be you need to do more research about the subject that you want to documentary.
Yeah.
And get more input from the other people. Like everyone has their own story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean and you really you chose a very a story that we would never have known about. So thanks for doing that film.
Yeah.
Let's see, Preacher, you want to give all these young filmmakers out there some advice? What advice do you have for them?
I think the story about the culture and people, we need to look at the different, which is the most and important challenge of this present time. You must not to tell the story from the same angle. You need to do a lot of homework, try to spend time in the shooting area and stay close to your subject. Look into the social context from a wide angle, which is the big frame of the subject, or look into how the audience are thinking to the subject that we would like to present. You need to put on this together. I think you will a good result. The filmmaker who is familiar with the shooting location and its people will get an advantage in the culture and people to accept the story and information. But the challenge is to be able to tell the story to be in trend and charming. You need to work hard in present time. Like me work on Floating Village Aslam for 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Wow, you spent 5 or 6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just listening to your stories of dedication, you know what? I'm starting to believe my job is much easier than what you guys do. So really, yeah. Just for information, Preacher has 10 years work experience on advertising. He became a journalist. He works for the Thai PBS. He's won awards. He's really speaking from a lifetime of experience there, and you can tell from the way Preacher tells you these stories. Vishal, any suggestions or words of wisdom for all these people out there?
Yeah, I'm always wary of answering questions like this because this is also only my second short film. So anything I say is also advice to myself, I guess. If I could add one thing, I would say there's just no one way of doing things. So in terms of, we are always very maybe obsessed with originality, that, oh, this has been done before, so it cannot be done again. But I think it's not been done in your way. So you'll always have that chance to have your take on things. And there's no, maybe in line with today's theme and the theme of the webinar, there's no one way of representing culture. Of course, maybe if you want to talk about what's respectful and what's not, that should be a consideration. But also, your culture as written on paper might be very different to what you practice. And if you feel that needs documentation through film or any other medium, then that is grounds enough for you to embark into a new project.
Okay, thanks, Vishal. I mean, I think there's a message of hope there that it's your way. I mean, you make your way, and you can really make a style of your own, even though the story's been told like umpteen times before. So that's really your creative direction. So very good to hear. So last but not least, the hometown boy, the person. I mean, we're both from KK, so I obviously automatic affinity. So Pentium, tell the young filmmakers in our little town of KK how they can become like you one day.
A sincere heart, a very sincere heart, and a clear intention what you want to do with the documentary and the people, what you want to do for the community, if you want to shoot them or something else. And then one thing is like teamwork is a very important part for the documentary also, because anything happen is like you are a team, you can solve a lot of problem. this is what I want to say. Yeah. In a documentary world, it's not easy, but can be done.
Okay, thank you so much, Pentium. And obviously, I'd like to highlight that this right now we're also creating a little documentary of sorts about a documentary about the making of the film, the 4 films here. And there's people behind the scenes. There's a team that's been doing this. So thank you so much to Hidayah and Mazri from SingSoft behind the scenes, and Jasmine and obviously Jude for stage managing this whole thing from far away. And thank you so much to all of you in the audience, because you are the very essential member of our team, because without you, 1/3 of this webinar would have just disappeared, to be honest. So I'm very glad to have been here today myself. I think I've learned so much from your films, and obviously so much more just listening to how you talk about them. And again, please stay tuned to all the other events in the KKFF. This has been a really good conversation, and expect 2 more good conversations to be happening after this. One tomorrow about breaking into the overseas market, and one more about indie films, pregnancies, Pontianaks, and something else. So thank you very much to Pentium, Genevieve, Pricha, and translator, and Vishal for joining us today. It has been a wonderful experience, and I hope that we will see you again in the 13, 14, and 15 KKIFF to talk about your new projects. Right. So good night, everyone, and see you guys around then for the next section. KKIFF. Bye. And don't forget to join the quiz, because I've written all the questions. Goodbye.